ATS University session, one of many and consistent as we continue to have 3 or 4 of these a month. I know next month we've got a heavy schedule for planned. This month we've knocked out a few more. Strong start to the year for our ATS University sessions. My name is Zach. I've been with ATS for about 15 years, and I run our market development team, who is here to help you out with any more project-specific demos, introductions to our ATS spec tool. So if it's your first time joining us, if it's your first time hearing of ATS, thank you for giving us a chance. And certainly feel free to reach out to myself or my team, and we'll be happy to help you get started. ATS, in case you are unaware, is essentially a number of manufacturers that have joined on to our software solutions. They see the value and the efficiency that we provide to the market in terms of configuring your product and making selections. But in addition to that, we've always tried to focus on educating the engineers and architects across North America. So that slid us into what developed into our ATS University system, where we have manufacturers and partners join in to have either detailed code-based discussions like we're going to have today, or new product introductions on some of the new features that are being developed, all the R&D that's being spent by all these various manufacturers to help improve products, or sometimes application-specific deep dives like we did, Rebecca and I, last week, as we were reviewing all the various product that is available and how to select it on the ATS spec system for certain product types. So with that being said, all of our ATS University sessions are recorded. I'll show you how you can find those later on the ATS spec tool and in our housed recording session, so you can go back and review anything you may miss. And with me today, without any further ado, Manan Mohammed from RWC, who's going to cover the pipe transitions and all the codes that are related to them for mainly multifamily applications, but also other high-rise applications as well, talking about hybrid piping systems. Thank you, Manan.
Thank you, Zach. Welcome, everyone.
I guess as we continue along, I'll note that my role in the conversation will be mainly to pipe in with the questions along the way. So if you do have questions, pop them into the Q&A in the chat field. I'll be sure to raise them to Manan. And then at the end of the week, we will, of course, be sending out our certificate of attendance for all those that have joined us today. So you'll get a nice piece for your self-reporting to whatever type of hours you need to do. But yeah, with that, Manan, do you want to dive into the agenda and our piping system discussion today?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks again, Zach. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone is doing great. Just for the benefit of those who are joining us for the first time, I'll give you a brief intro on RWC, and then we'll dive right into the topic. As Zach mentioned, the focus is mainly on multifamily applications. We'll do a little bit about residential, but the main theme is high billings. As most of you might be aware, especially I see there are a couple of people who joined from the US office, and I apologize in advance because my focus is mainly on the Canadian codes. Most of you, as you're aware, the National Building Code 2020 has been published. Alberta was the first province to adopt it. Based on the harmonization efforts that are going on, various provinces are slowly adopting the NBC 2020, either in its entirety or with minimal deviations. So this is a big change from the past, where provinces had lots of deviations to the National Building Code. So my presentation today is mainly focusing on what is coming. As I said, Alberta has already adopted. Ontario is expected to adopt in the next couple of months, and so are the various provinces. So a little bit about RWC. Most of you know us through our brands, SharkBite, and I'll have to tell you a story. Once, I was going on the highway. I was late for a meeting, and the cop stopped me. And when he got off, and I was looking with panic in my eyes, and he looked and saw the SharkBite sticker on the logo on the van, and said, "Oh, you are from SharkBite?" I said, yes, officer, I'm from SharkBite. And that completely changed the whole discussion. So SharkBite is a very, very well-known brand of ours. People kind of tend to forget RWC, but associate us with our brands like SharkBite, Cash Acme, Whole John Guest, and so on. Very popular in North America.
Yeah, SharkBite, one of the big brands in the DIY community still, with all their PEX
Absolutely.
piping, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So we are a very strong global team of over 2,800 members. We have 14 manufacturing facilities, 29 distribution hubs, 5 innovation centers, 3 of which are in North America, 9 offices, and our head office is in Atlanta, Georgia. Right from the inception, we have been focusing on delivering smart engineered solutions from new construction to repair and remodel. One thing personally, I've been with the company about 13 years, and one thing I personally like is how we manage our product life cycle, right from the drawing board innovation to the time it gets to your hands, we control the whole process. So without any further, let's dive right into our topic for today, hybrid piping systems. And just before we started, I was telling Zach, this is something that is becoming the topic of the day. In the last couple of months, I think this is my 3rd or 4th presentation on the same topic, whether you're talking about inspector associations or engineering bodies or contractors, everybody is talking about hybrid piping and the transitions. And why is that? One of the reasons could be of the soaring costs. Certain pipe material has gone through the roof. I'm doing a small cast iron railing in my home. About 2 months back, or 2 years back, actually, they quoted me $600. The same company quoted me $2,400. Like when I heard, I thought there was something wrong, but that's what the industry is today. And another issue is logistics. There are huge delays. So contractors and engineers are managing with what they have in hand. And that's why you walk into any building, you will see a very innovative style of hybrid piping system. So we'll cover both portable as well as the DWS system and the transitions that we can offer to make the transition smooth. So let's start off with wood frame. Few months back, I was on a job site. Now, the easy part about wood frame is you just have to be concerned about part 7, and you're talking potable water system, residential wood frame. So I couldn't, when I walked onto a job site, I froze. The contractor was so innovative, and he used kind of pretty much every pipe material that was available in the market. Now, as I said, part 7 is quite straightforward, and typically what you would find in for portable water applications in wood frame, PEX is very, very common, right? Majority of the dwellings have got PEX, copper, aquarize, PERT, PE, CPVC, HDPE. These are some very common pipe materials that are being used in residential applications. There has been a lot of innovation in plumbing. Who is telling me that plumbing is no longer smart looking? Plumbing it's quite pretty these days. Today's plumbing is quite pretty. So manufacturers have gone out of the way to come out with innovative systems, and the codes are reacting to it. So what I did, I picked up the most popular pipe PEX, and I wanted to show you how the code is adopting. So the National Plumbing Code 2020 that was released last year talks about PEX. So in the past, it said PEX pipe and fittings used in hot and cold potable water applications shall conform to the CSS standard 137. But see how it has changed today. It's saying PEX pipe and manufacturer approved fittings, because it's humanly impossible to include all connection systems that are available today in the market. Now, some of the pictures here now, the one that you see on the top is straightforward PEX pipe, just going from one size to the other, and you see the SharkBite connection system, pretty straightforward. But you look at the pictures below, the one on the right, this is more traditional. You see copper pipe coming in from the city, and then it transitions to PEX. But look at the one on the left-hand side. From the manifold, you have PEX pipe going in a very short section of PEX, but then it transitions into Aquarize. And then down the road, it all changes to PEX pipe. So how do you connect the dissimilar materials? These are not connecting same material, tons of connections are available. So first of all, you have to pay attention to the code. The building code says, especially the article 2.3.3.6, talks about adapters, connectors, or mechanical joints used to join dissimilar materials shall be designed to accommodate the required transition. So the onus is on the engineer to make sure that the building is using the right connection system. It doesn't specify the what, that's left to the contractor and the engineer. So coming to my favorite product, this is, in an engineer's lifetime, I think you have to go through a product like this at least once. You're more familiar with the traditional SharkBite system. We recently launched the SharkBite Max and some of the salient points and some of the fancy features. For the first time, we are going to patent it. We made a mistake when we introduced the push to connect under the SharkBite brand many years back because the connection was copied. But this new fitting, we have filed a patent. It comes with a reinforced stainless steel for strength, no PEX liner, especially if you're inserting a particular pipe material. The insertion force has gone down by over 50%. The ratings have gone up. It's rated to 250 PSI now. Very soon, it should be going up to 300. Maximum burst pressure is 2000. But the fancy feature of this one fitting is it can be used on 5 different pipe materials. So you could be transitioning in the building to any of these pipe materials, the ones that you see at the bottom, PEX, copper, PERC, CPVC, HDPE, the same fitting can be used for various pipe materials. Not many of you may know that SharkBite also manufactures other connection systems, such as crimp, expansion system. We manufacture all grades of PEX pipe, A, B, and C. When we started manufacturing this for the first time, it was all done in Australia. And then we have, based on the demand, we have moved some of the manufacturing to our US facilities. But just a fun fact, over 351 million fittings have been shipped since 2005. So you can imagine the extent this fitting has been used. Now, I mentioned that the SharkBite connection system is good for these 5 pipe materials. But what about the other materials that you see? Some of these, especially the PVC, the IPEX portable Aquarize system is quite popular in the Canadian market. It's also becoming popular in the US market. So what about those? So SharkBite has got conversion fittings to convert from PVC to the 5 materials that I just mentioned, or PB pipe to the 5 materials I just mentioned. These conversion fittings are designated by different color, as you'll see here, gray for polybutylene and white for PVC. Now, this fitting that you see here, as we know, the PVC pipe has got a larger diameter. So this is just a half-inch fitting that goes from half-inch PVC to half-inch copper or any copper tube size material. And we have various sizes. So SharkBite has made the conversion of various pipe materials, especially in multifamily applications, very, very easy. All right, so let's move on to wood frame buildings that are covered under Part 7, but DWE piping. The most traditional material that you see in wood frame residential is ABS, right? It's glued, so there are no real fancy connections. It's all glued. But when you go for multifamily applications, again, you see that innovation. you see the cast iron pipe connected to System 15 manufactured by IPEX. And how are these connected? Now, there are MJ couplings. The most common way, and we don't manufacture those, the most common way of connecting dissimilar material is by way of MJ couplings on DWV side. So there's not much to go over here. And again, the code allows that. And you see this quite often in today's construction. Let's move to the main theme for today, hybrids. This is where it becomes complicated, especially when the engineers are designing it. And this is where we excel. We come in and we have solutions that can help the engineers make the pipe transitions very easy. These buildings, as you know, are covered both under Part 3, the fire, smoke requirements, and Part 7 is straightforward plumbing requirements in our Canadian model codes. So let us start off with some code language, just to get a few things clarified. As I said, I'm going to focus on the 2020 code because that's what is going to be adopted very soon. And this language has not changed. This has been there even in the existing version, the 2015 non-combustible construction. So let us be clear that in a non-combustible construction, the mid-rise, the high-rise buildings, the code says use the non-combustible construction should or shall be constructed with non-combustible material. Straightforward. But is that practical? Is that how is it going to be always? Not possible, because not everything can be manufactured in non-combustible materials. That's why they have some provisions. They say, except as permitted by sentences 2 and 4 and articles 3.1.5.2 to 3.1.5.24, you could use non-combustible material in non-combustible construction. Some of the items that you should be focused on, those are the ones that I'm going to discuss. Is one such article is 3.1.5.19, which says you could use combustible material provided it is concealed in a wall. So if it is going behind the wall or if it is in a concrete floor slab. That's why you see the plastic products, for example, PEX pipe being installed in rated buildings, fire rated buildings, because the code allows you as long as it goes behind or in a slab. But what if the product comes out in the envelope, in the apartment? Then you need to have the smoke and flame spread rating. So as long as the combustible material meet these requirements, you're good. But this is for large material. For smaller material, you have another article that you need to worry about, and that covers minor combustible components. They give you a list of material that is acceptable. Then there is a huge change, because in the existing code, there have been so many questions, and that's what keeps people like us busy. So many calls saying, can you clarify if this fitting can be used, if this transition could be used? So the 2020 throws a lot of light on especially transitions and using hybrid systems, especially this one sentence down here that you see the arrow mark. It's crystal clear that the code is going to allow hybrid systems. It says transitions between vertical, non-combustible drain, waste, and vent piping and combustible branches of DWV are permitted on either side of a fire separation, period. Now, they cannot be located in vertical service space, which is open to the top, right? That's the only exception. But otherwise, now it is black and white that you can use it as long as proper suitable connection system is used. Another thing that you have to be aware of is what if these transitions are crossing the rated assemblies? So you have a rated slab, and then you have a rated top and bottom, and these pipes are going through the slab. So what do you do? This article clarifies on that. You just need to use a fire stop that is listed to C ULC S115. It's very straightforward there. And I'll go over an example, which describes what you need to be cautious about when specifying hybrid systems. All right, so let's start off.
Sorry, so just per that last one, when you're talking about the vertical and the combustible, non-combustible only in the vertical, that'd be for your risers. Is that correct then?
That's right.
That's
yes.
the application, what main application that you're thinking of?
That's right, Zach. For risers, you still need to go with just one piping material. Yeah. All right. So is there a different code reference for non-combustible building that talks about dissimilar material? No. Part 7, still, Article 2.3.3.6 talks about connecting dissimilar material. It says, see, one thing you have to keep in mind, it doesn't say, oh, this type of fitting or MJ coupling. It doesn't say that. It's very broad. It says adapters, connectors, or mechanical joints used to join dissimilar material shall be designed to accommodate the required transition period. So we don't have to worry about this. And what I did, I picked up some pictures, like the one that you see on the right. Oh my goodness, this contractor has been, in a very small envelope. They use 3 different connection styles. So you see copper is coming in, it transitions into PEX using the shock bite connection system, and then it transitions into the EvoPEX connection system, which is again a shock bite brand, which only connects to the PEX piping. Looking at the middle picture, you see here PEX being transitioned into Aquarize, which is very, very common. Very common in Ontario. I'm based out of Ontario. Same thing here. You see Aquarize and PEX going hand in hand. So the shock bite connection system has been very, very popular to make these transitions possible. So coming back to PEX, which is still by far the most popular system being used today in high-rise buildings. We have RWC offers all 3 types of PEX, PEX A, B, and C, which is mainly with the oxygen barrier. We have launched the new shock bite Max into the market. We have the expansion system that is heavily being used in the market. So just a recap as to what RWC can offer in terms of PEX piping. So switching now to the DWV system. This is where I will go a bit slowly because there is so much. This whole area has evolved, and you can see, it's an eye-popping experience when you walk into a 62-story building and see what material, what technology is being used today. So we'll start out with some pictures. So if you see here on the left-hand side, I don't know if you can see my cursor. This is a boutique high-rise building in Toronto facing the waters. You see the cast iron pipe. It's connected with a PVC mechanical coupling that's manufactured by Holright, again, a RWC brand. And the details of all of the products that I'm talking about are on the ATS spec tool with all the technical information. They have done a great job in putting all the technical, the BIMs all in a manner that is very easy to get. So you will see the PVC pipe mechanical coupling here. And then you see the little white things at the bottom, where the riser clamps are. Those are the acoustical pads, the silencer pads, which are made in refined, in the name. Some of the other pictures that you see on the right, you will see the cast iron being transitioned to XFR. Same thing here. Very, very, any building you walk into now, I see this cast iron pipe transitioning into XFR. And then, at the bottom, you will see this nice green, the last presentation I was making at the Inspectors Association, I almost spoke 15 minutes on this one topic here. You see this nice green little coupling here. We'll talk as to what this is in just a few minutes. So all types of transitions are now commonly used in multifamily applications. And as you have seen, the reference codes, they all allow the use of the different piping materials. All right, so let's pick up this one picture first. Here it is very straightforward. On the left you will see you have two rated structures and the pipe is penetrating right through them. So you have cast iron penetrating and a cast iron penetrating the two floors. You have a PVC mechanical coupling, and then you have got some riser pads. So this is a straightforward transition. The code says as long as you're using a fire stop that is applicable, that is listed for that pipe material, you're okay. But what about dissimilar material? So you look here, and this is one of, I picked it up from one of the drawings. You have cast iron pipe, then you have MJ coupling, then it transitions into plastic pipe, which is system XFR, and goes down a rated assembly. And then this is the parquet down here. So again, as long as you have specified or used a system that is applicable now for the plastic pipe, you're okay. Only thing you have to keep in mind is you need the 50 PA rating for in Canada. You don't need that in the US, but in Canada, you need the 50 PA for any combustible pipe going through a rated penetration. In the past, there have been so much of discussion, oh, you can't do this, can't do that, because you're transitioning from cast iron to PVC. That's history. All those discussions, because the code is in black and white now, it allows as long as the proper transitions are used. But what is it that you need to be careful about? Just make sure when the transitions are used, especially when the transitions are used, because now the inspectors are inspecting very carefully, all the associated things are taken care of. And that's where, the engineers come into the picture. For example, the fire stop is a major component of the whole piping system. Polrite, one of our brands, manufactures a complete range of fire stopping products, from conventional, sealants, wrap strips, collars, to more sophisticated, complete fire stopping systems. And what these are, and especially if you are from BC, Alberta, you would have definitely seen a lot of these RWC systems. It's buffet on one plate. Let me put it this way. If you go for a buffet and you've added everything onto your plate, that what is this item is. So you have a sleeve with a built-in intumescent material. Then you have got a smoke seal with a W rating, which means if the water goes in, once the pipe is in place, there is no leakage. It's rated and listed. Also, if for non-popular or non-common slab sizes, you have adjustable sleeves, and all this information you can find on ATS tool. You have adjustable sleeves that can be adjusted on the site for the required height. One nice feature compared to our competition is the threads are inside. So once the concrete is poured, all you have to do is remove the cap, put the pipe through it, and you're done. No other work is required. You also have the whiskers, because sometimes the concrete can cover the cap. The whiskers will tell you exactly where the HydroFlame Pro is. These are called HydroFlame Pro. We also do VIP estimating for our customers and of engineering judgments, because not all applications can be covered by means of your listings. There are There could be some unique, like especially when the contractor gets over creative, then you need engineering judgments.
So just a quick question there on the HydroFlame Pro. And this really, I guess, ties back to kind of an opening question on the segment. You mentioned the high rise. When we start talking about wood for, the low rise applications, then we get into the non-combustible applications, which are for high rise. Is there a definition of what high rise is, like, or even just a ballpark? Over 4 floors, look at this, over 6 or 8, anything that, how many floors until you start thinking, oh, I need to make sure this has the HydroFlame Pro on it?
So it's a great question, and there is no thumb mark. I see there is one more. I think, I don't know if it is. So there is no thumb rule that says, the industry, anything between 4 up to 12 treats that at mid-rise, below 4 is low-rise. But when it comes to fire-rated buildings, the building could be 4 stories, but there could be fire rating requirements. It could be a non-combustible building. So the building codes define as to what a non-combustible building is. They have a complete page giving you different scenarios. I should have included that in the presentation, but what I'll do, I'll take that section off from the code and send it to you. So if there are any questions from the attendees, then you can circulate that to them.
Perfect. Yeah, we can add that as a downloadable resource for
Sure.
people in the future. So it's really, I guess, summarizing it there. It's not that there's a definition of when these are required, but there is a definition, like over a certain height, but there is a definition of which project types are non-combustible, and that's your benchmark for when this is required.
Sure. Yeah.
So a question coming in from the chat again as well. So for in high-rise sanitary risers, there's a requirement for mechanical pipe joint bracing. And can you do that with the PVC piping at the bottom of the sanitary stacks?
The answer is yes. Give me just 5 minutes and we'll talk about that.
Perfect. We'll circle back.
Awesome question. This is coming in quite often. Since about 1.5 years, I've seen this at least a dozen times. So thank you for bringing that up, and we'll cover that just in a short while. So coming back, so Zach, once again, thank you for that question. So a rated building could be anything, as as per the definition of the prevailing the code, and I'll share some verbiage with you on that. All right, moving on. Silencers. Now, when you're getting innovative and you're using hybrid piping in a high-rise or a mid-rise system with suitable transitions, one thing you have to keep in mind that there could be some extra noise. Now, engineers, when they're designing the buildings, they're more conscious about airborne noise, and the code talks about that. But the code is very silent on noise transmitted through piping systems. Some of the piping systems, and I don't want to get into that area, but some of the piping systems are a little bit more silent than the other. But depending on what piping system you use, there's always noise through piping. So HoldRite has got a whole range of silencers that can be used in these applications, and that will prevent this noise from transmitting from one section of the building to the other section. We have a lot of test data. Again, this is all up on ATS tool. On a case-to-case basis, feel free to send me an email or Zach an email, and we'll help you out with details on this. All right, to my favorite topic now, this green-looking device on a cast iron pipe. This is our famous PVC mechanical coupling, also known in the industry as the Test-Rite unit, manufactured by HoldRite. This has found home in many, many, many buildings we sell about 25 to 30,000 units for high-res applications every year, uh, just in Ontario alone. National, it's a lot more. So how is it that the code is allowing that? You have the cast iron pipe, and then you have the PVC coupling here. So first of all, what does this coupling do? Traditionally, when DW pipe has been installed, there is a requirement by the codes to test it, right? Under a certain pressure. You could test the pipe using water or air. So contractors traditionally, what they did, they cut a piece of cast iron off, put in a homemade device, tested the pipe. Once the testing was done, you take it off and again secure it using MJ couplings. But the problem with that is this new connection that has been done now, nobody has tested those connections. So there's always this, oh my goodness, will something happen here? Is this connection secured? So HoldRite introduced this about 12 years back. So this is not a new product. It's a very matured product. So you could, as you can see, you can install the mechanical fitting. It's listed to CSAB 181.1 and CSAB 181.2 as a mechanical coupling. So what you do when you install this fitting, you install the test plug, connect it with the hose, either fill the water up or fill the air up, test it to the required pressures. Once the testing is done, remove the test piece and put in a plug. All right, so it stays in the system. But we spoke about the smoke and flame spread requirements. What if, although, if it's going behind the wall, you're okay, right? You don't need the smoke and flame spread ratings. But what if somebody cuts an opening? Then what? So what we did, we certified and listed the test right, the PVC test rights to S102.2 and listed with QAI. QAI is a body recognized by Standards Council of Canada. We have also certified this fitting as as a ULC 115 device when installed with cast iron. So it has got a 2R rating, and this is with ULC. So all the concerns have been taken care of. This can be installed in any situation. Again, it's not permitted in the risers, but as long as it is in a non-riser application, you're good.
So
Last thing, yes, sorry.
Just to make sure I understand that correctly. So even though, behind the wall, the combustible would be fine, but even with that stipulation, you've gone and got it fired, smoke flame, tested rating, and listed for the non-combustible.
That's right, yes. Yeah. Because, few people were concerned, especially the inspectors, the engineers okay with it, but the inspector were concerned, what if somebody does a hole on the wall? Then, you could have maybe the smoke coming out in case of fire. So to be on the safe side, because this is a top selling product of ours, we got all the ratings that are physically possible for a system like this. So thank you again, Zach. Great questions. So the last thing I wanted to cover, and again, this is a very, very close topic to my heart, mechanical joints. So for potable water applications, you are okay. You're looking at maybe pipe sizes up to 2 inches, and the connection systems have been developed over the years. They're very mature. There have not been many failures in the market. But what about DWE pipe? Generally the DWE piping, especially cast iron, is connected with MJ couplings. And as we all know, the MJ couplings are kind of rated to about 10 feet head of water column. Now, there are some manufacturers that are testing and are getting a better rating, but it's still, what if there is a clog and, now the head goes up? So based on the feedback from the market and based on the guidance from Cast Iron Pipe Soil Institute, BIBI, who's a large manufacturer of cast iron, CSA B602 standards for mechanical joints for DWV pipes, the plumbing codes, we came up with a restraint. Now, um, uh, these restraints were traditionally being used on cast iron pipe. And we have test data available. They give you 5 times the rating compared to the traditional systems. So there was a question, but what about PVC? So this is quite matured. And again, this is the highly specified product, especially if there are any transitions on larger, because you don't really need the bracing or the restraints for something less than 4. In Canada, the requirement is about 5 inches. In the US, it's about 4 inches. Pretty much all the engineers I know in Canada are specifying that for 4-inch pipe and above. But what about PVC pipe? Now, traditionally, PVC pipe is cemented. It's joined using cements. But as the pipe size grows, say 8-inch, 10-inch, 12-inch, 15-inch, joining it using cement is very difficult. So there's something called MJ gray couplings. That's again, I think it's an IPEX brand. My apologies if I'm saying this wrong, but the MJ couplings have been traditionally, the gray MJ couplings have been traditionally used to to join the PVC system. And we have some Fortune 500 customers that came back to us and said, why don't you develop a restraint system for PVC pipe? So we did that. One of the best things we did, because this again took off like crazy, a lot of installations, especially in the Ontario market. But we only have it in few sizes, 8-inch, 10-inch, and 12-inch, because sizes smaller than that is usually cemented. And these are being used for System 15 and System XFR installations. I hope I answered the question that came in the chat. But if there's anything else, please do let me know. And again, these are all on the ATS tool. So you'll be amazed, guys. I would highly recommend the engineers on this call to maybe take a few hours off and go through what ATS has to offer. It's a one-stop shop for everything. It will expose you to some innovative solutions that you might not have thought of. Because sometimes what happens, I'm a registered professional engineer in the province of Ontario. And what we do when we do things again and again and again, we're used to a certain style. We don't know what else there is out in the market. So ATS, I see whenever I go out, even the contractors, I'm telling them to go and look just for ideas, just for whether you do it or not, that's up to you. But just for ideas, ATS is the way to go, I personally think. Okay, so that's all I had today. Just to wrap up, we offer a service free of cost. We go in and do site inspections. Just for peace of mind for the engineers and the contractors that the products have been installed as per our specifications. And also it takes care of that little liability that's on your shoulders onto ours. Plumbing matters. At the end of the day, you don't want, if you own a home, you don't want a plumbing leak in your home, right? We try to make it better. My contact information is right here. And back to you, Zach.
Fantastic. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, you're right. The leak aspect that you mentioned there at the end is one of the very interesting and high profile conversation topics over the last couple of years. Everything seems to be surrounding leak detection, minimization, prevention, all the different aspects are. There's a lot of fear around leaks, not just because of how uneasy it makes people, but it costs a lot of money. So that's always one of the highest profile aspects, and I think it ties into a lot of insurance as well. We'll pause here for a second, see if any additional questions come in, and then I'll show you how you can find the products that we were talking about today on the ATS spec tool. we had a couple of great questions already on fire protection and on the sanitary stacks. Any additional questions coming? I guess one thing that came into mind right at the start, there was a reference regarding pressure now in the PEX code writings. And you had mentioned how the new shark bite fitting, the max version, was up to 250 psi. I was curious with the change on the PEX piping code aspect. Was there also a up or a dictation of the pressure ratings? Like, is there a reason? Is the 250 that you're listing, is that exceeding the pressure rating, or is that just meeting these days?
So, Zach, how do you know all these questions?
Because I've been doing this for a long time.
I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. So just last week, again, this came up with an engineering body that we are meeting and a developer. So there are two things to PEX. One is the manufacturer's pressure ratings. And that could go up to 250, 300, or whatever it is. Now, but there are certain factors that are playing into the design of the PEX systems, whether it's being used for cold water applications, hot water, or recirculation. For different applications, when the temperature changes, the pressure rating by the codes is different. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind. The big thing that we have to keep in mind, if the water is continuously circulating, then the rating is much below, especially with chlorine being present in the water. So there are lots of PPI is a very reputed plastic pipe institute based out of the US. They have done a lot of studies, a lot of testing, and they've published the data. So if chlorine is being used, especially for if PEX is being used for riser applications, then that 250 psi means nothing, because it's a lot lower rating by the codes that you need to worry about. I think it's as low as 80 psi.
Interesting. So yeah, the recirculation lines, those are going to have different real life ratings compared to just the listed rating.
That's right. So when we talk about recirculating, it could be a recirc coming back, or the water which is being continuously flowing in a pipe, like in a dwelling when everybody's sleeping, nobody's using the water, it's stagnant. But in a riser like application where there are 200 units in a high-rise building, the water is always flowing. So you need to have the codes talk about a different temperature and pressure rating for those applications where the water is continuously flowing. Again, I can send you some information on that, and probably you could post that up as as good reference documents. And if somebody on this call is more interested on knowing how to design PEX systems, I'll be more than happy to do a one-on-one with you.
Yeah, of course. That's a great point as any. To circle us back, one, if anything that we've covered today, you want more information, please feel free to reach out to us. Happy to do one-on-ones, happy to do this same presentation, maybe specifically with your firm if you want a more detailed conversation. And of course, when it comes to the spec tool, we do a number of the big long demos where we're talking for an hour, maybe more, showing this, that, and the other feature. And frankly, that's never going to be as good as a follow-up session where you have specific questions. We can spend 10-15 minutes together and do joint demos. That's what most of my days these days is spent just doing back-to-back demos to the spec tool one-on-one. So please feel free to reach out to us. My entire team has their book a meeting link, so you can jump on with Teams with us at any point in time. Again, so atspec.com is our landing page. It's all a free but login specific software system. So you will have an account set up for your firm. There may be administrator that you need to reach out to have them add you. But if you want to get added, just reach out to me. I can get in contact with the admin team and make sure we get Everyone's signed up that needs to be. Before you even log in, though, there is a vast amount of information you can access now. So if you go to the Architects and Engineer tab, we have our templates where you can download, as an example, if I click on through the templates, I would be able to download, say, my most used products for a long-term care facility or the multi-family facility that we were talking about today, which would have various product groups that I'll show you in the future as we jump onto the system. We'll show you how you can see the various product groups, which include a pipes, fittings, and support product group. So you can choose all the products that's most commonly used for these applications. As well, you can go to the Learning Hub and go to our knowledge base. And from there, you can access all the previously recorded ATS University sessions that we've done. You can go back through, find anything that we've covered in the last little bit. Watch the recording. And again, if you want a specific session set up for your firm on that, reach out. We'll be happy to do a lunch and learn or bring a partner in like Manon. We can set up a lunch and learn or a short session together. Once you're logged in, you'll see something like this where you'll have your name up in the top corner. It'll show that you're logged in, and from there, pretty simple, straightforward. Click the Start Now button, and you will start making your selections. But in terms of a brief intro, we have various types of selections you can make, types of call it buckets. So you can have we have our quick spec bucket, which is really the fastest, quickest way that you can make a selection. Just put in a quick title. We can call this pipe support. Hit enter, and you're into your product selection phase. So you can see we've got all the types of categories. As Manon mentioned, we've been adding and adding and adding categories and manufacturers onto the system. But luckily for you, there's an easier way to organize it. You can pin your favorites. So you can see at the top here, I've pinned my air handler fan coil, my cast in place fire stop system, my pipe supports, my testing kits, pumps, water heater, water accessories. So like the support system for your water heater, those you can all pin your favorite. But of course, you can search within this as well. You can search by subdivisions. We can search by categories. So if I want to search for support, or if I know exactly what I'm looking for, we were talking about the 117 series, I can search by model number. I can search by series as well. But I can jump into the support category. And then you can start refining your selection. One of the quick points we like to highlight here is ATS is much more a configuration system. Like a vast amount of the information that we're going to have here is available just on the manufacturer's website. If you need the spec sheet for this 117K, you can click this button here and get the manufacturer's spec sheet. Or of course, you could be on the RWC website and download that spec sheet. However, what ATS does is allow you to configure the product solution. So if we have our 10-inch pipe size here, it's going to update our model number. It's going to update our output specs. So when we download it in any one of the 10 formats, we're not downloading the generic version. We are downloading our configured solution. So for things like your pipe supports that are more, call it master spec type product, you're going to write it into your master spec once and have a more generic product selection. You might just want the unsized version, which is going to have a written spec that configures the 10, 12, and 15-inch option. Or if we want to go on down to those silencers, you want to add the silencer into your master. You could do that with any of these various options. So we can go with the plate and tabs, as we mentioned, and it'll update it. We can add the product. And again, this is our quick spec. So this is just a very limited version. You're not getting our barrier-free rule engine, which really isn't applying to the products we're talking about here today. But you can see it auto-generates a basic label. You can, of course, edit the label. So if you call this instead, silencer or pipe accessory, however you label this in your drawings, you can do so. Hit save, check the box saying, yes, this is the product I want, and then download it in any one of our 10 different documents that are available, including, if you need a written spec for your master to update that. You can download our long spec, our short spec, or even if you follow the 3-part master format from what's the new name? DeckLink or something. Whoever bought BDS Spec Link and whoever bought Master Spec lately, they've got a new name for it once again. So you can download those written spec documents and get as many or as few of these documents together in a zip drive as fast as you want. And that'll give you a written spec, something similar like this with our long spec document. Or on the CSI format side, if you want the CSI format, gives you a nice written description, model number at the end. That's really the biggest difference. But the flow, the process is generally copy and paste whatever you need from this into your own internal documentation. Now, some people use fixture schedules. Some people use a cut sheet directly onto their drawings. Some people, have the vast majority, tons of different ways that you can go about adding these into your projects. So we try to provide formats that match whatever it is that you need. So if you need the Revit for the entire project, then you can do so. Now, one of the other things I wanted to show here, so we covered quick spec, which is a simple label onto project selection. If we go to projects, masters, and templates, well, what's the difference of that? So let's start from the ATS template side. Let's start from the project side. So if you have an individual project, you're working on your new high-rise facility. We're doing Manon's condo downtown Toronto on the waterfront. You would go to your project area or hit that quick start and start a new project. And you would put in, Manon high-rise waterfront. Fill in your location data. So if you put in Canada and we select Ontario, we are going to start applying our regional specific barrier-free and other code data. So we've gone through all the various building codes across Canada, across the US, to include as much as we're able to. So if you are building in California, you get, they have flow rate limitations that are important, and those are built into it. If you are building in New York, then you get, they've got some piping and old piping considerations that are critical to their building code. So we have those built into it. Now, I'm going to pause here. I was talking about a project. Well, the quickest way to build a project would be to use either your own master, which can be housed on the ATS system. I work with a number of the engineering companies across Canada and the US to make sure that your internal standards are built on the spec tool, so that you have an approved version, from your whoever's controlling your master, whoever's keeping that up to date. We work with them to make sure there's an improved version on the spec system. And then all you have to do is copy and paste that into your internal, your new documentation on a project. Now we have our ATS versions of those masters as well. That's what our templates are. It's kind of the ATS recommendation of a multifamily master. So you could view product groups and you could select all the various product groups that are appropriate and start adding that in. Now, I've gone through though and set up a project already. See, I'm running a little bit long. It took too long to intro this already, so I'm going to wrap it up real quick for us. Give me 2 more minutes. I've set up this pipe transition webinar project just before the session today. That's what I was showing you on the downloads before. So if we wanted to add more product from either our master or our template, we would simply go to masters or ATS templates. So we can go to our condo amenity space master and add all of our sinks, faucets, everything else into this new project. You would just hit copy this, copy to project, put in your project name, or hit the new button if you've not set up the project file yet, and we could copy that into a new project group. So now we've got the previously selected products, all the pipes and fittings, the test kit, our fire stopping systems that we talked about before. And now in a matter of seconds, minutes, we've copied in an entire selection for these pipes and fittings. But we've got our lavs here. So how do we go back to our pipe area and add our PEX piping that we want in this application? Well, first I'm going to go to search pipe, and now I'm going to pin my pipe and go to the category. And then I could either refine this down by application type, manufacturer. I got my PEX B I was looking for right at the top here. You can choose your line sizes if you know it. If you have a, this is just a retrofit area, maybe for a tenant space, we're just running 1-inch pipe all the way through. We could do so. We just need the basic white. And now we've configured this into the exact model number we need. Of course, again, I can hit reset and just go unsized if I'm just doing a base model. I just want a basic configuration that just says, yes, PEX B is approved. And that's what I'm writing into my spec. Perfectly fine. We can add our Evo PEX couplings that we were talking about. The new max couplings will be added on here in the near future. So we can select this, add to drawing, and we're going to get all the appropriate pipe fittings written spec together. Hit complete, and then we are back off to the races. And we could download either by selecting all drawings, we will get both this product group and this product group. If I just want my pipe fittings, I can select this and it'll download just the one product group, or I can just download my individual product. As well, I'll cover the fact that the Revit is available for download right here. But of course, as I mentioned before, you can download the entire product group, and we can download our submittal drawings. We can download our schedule, our long spec, our manufacturer spec, our Revit, our CSI spec, everything all at once. Hit that and I'll download. And again, you can see I've downloaded these ahead of time. So I've got our schedule, our manufacturer spec, the submittals. And we've shown the written drawings already. I'll show you the PDF drawings package that we have here, where we get our pipe supports, showing all the various sizes, all the various information you need. The types testing kit, our fire stop system. Of course, I mentioned the manufacturer spec sheet version as well. This is one of the pieces that Manon was showing off to the contractors so that they can submit for their shop drawing approval really nice and easily. But of course, you can also compare what a contractor is submitting to you to the product selection that you made on ATS if you download this as well. It makes for a nice comparison option. And then I mentioned, we've got our Revit files as well. So if the Revit's going to come in a folder, you'll get subfolders for each of the categories. We can go to our pipe support and download that file, and you can pop that into your drawings. So obviously, as Manon mentioned, there's a lot to cover in the ATS spec tool these days. I did my best to try to get that as fast as possible for us all, but I appreciate you giving me the time. If you would like a deeper dive into the ATS spec tool, feel free to reach out to me. If you would like to set up a lunch and learn with Manon and our ATS team at your office, feel free to reach out. We're happy to get that organized. And of course, if you want help understanding the product, how to add it to your master, either internally on your file system or on the ATS system, we're happy to show you how you can get your master set up and help you get the right language to make sure your master is code compliant with the updated codes that are just coming in. BC and Alberta, I think went last month. Ontario's coming with their changes in the next couple of months. So to stay code compliant, up to date, we'll be working with our manufacturers to make sure our verbiage is correct. And of course, if you want to work with us to update your internal verbiage, we're happy to do so. That was a great presentation, and I really appreciate the detail that you always provide. Fantastic insights into not just the codes, but how they apply in real life. So thank you for your time today. Thank you for everyone that joined us and stuck around even after hours. We must have done something right. We didn't lose a single person as we ran over. So thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We'll be in touch again shortly. Bye for now all.